At Buckingham Palace, a quiet war has been raging, and the stakes have never been higher. For months, King Charles has been pushing to clear out the royal lodge, drawing a hard line that has backed Sarah Ferguson into the ultimate corner. But while the palace expected her to fade quietly into the background, a dangerous shift is happening behind the scenes. Stripped of her standing, facing an uncertain future, and pushed to her absolute limit, Sarah is now holding a potential weapon that could send shockwaves through the entire royal family. In this video, we're unpacking the high-stakes standoff, the jaw-dropping figures behind her potential tell-all move, and why this breaking point could change everything for the monarchy. If you enjoy deep dives into the hidden drama of the royal family, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us bring you more stories like this. So, what happens when a long-time royal insider decides she has nothing left to lose? Let's take a look. Imagine giving over 30 years of your life to defend an institution, only to find out you were completely disposable all along. That is the bitter reality Sarah Ferguson is facing right now. For over 2 decades, the former Duchess of York made the massive 30-room royal lodge her home. She wasn't just living there, she was holding together what was left of her family's world. But when King Charles made the decision to clear out the estate, Sarah was hit with a realization that cut deeper than any public insult. Sources indicate that while arrangements were made behind the scenes for royal housing on the king's private Sandringham estate, Sarah was given 0 soft landings, no palace keys, no backup residence. The palace essentially packed up the moving boxes and left her to figure out her own future, entirely on her own. Think about how devastating that moment must have been. For years, Sarah played the role of the loyal insider. She smiled for the cameras, absorbed the public backlash, and protected the royal family's image at every turn. Yet, in a single move, King Charles made it abundantly clear that once you are no longer useful to the monarchy, you cease to matter. Reports suggest the isolation didn't stop at the gates of Windsor. Almost overnight, her charity patronages dropped her, commercial partnerships vanished, and book deals dried up. Longtime high society friends suddenly stopped answering her calls. Even worse, the cold reality extended to her own family. Reports indicate that Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie were advised to keep a visible distance in public, all to safeguard their own standing with King Charles and Prince William. Sarah wasn't just being evicted from a house, she was being systematically erased from the royal narrative. Insiders say the emotional pain quickly turned into overwhelming anger. She spent a lifetime keeping secrets and taking the fall for royal blunders, only to be cast aside like trash when the storm hit. And that brings us to the dangerous shift happening right now. Because when a former royal who knows every secret is pushed to the edge and left with nothing to lose, she stops playing by their rules. Sarah Ferguson is sitting on a potential multi-million-dollar gold mine, and publishers are practically banging down her door to get it. Reports suggest media executives and publishing houses are offering anywhere from $1 million to over $1.5 million for a tell-all interview or memoir. And when you look at her bank account, that is money she simply cannot afford to turn down. Back when she divorced Andrew, her original settlement was notoriously small compared to royal standards, leaving her with just a tiny fraction of what people assumed. Ever since then, she has been hustling to pay off staggering debts, write books, and stay afloat. But now, after getting booted from the 30-room royal lodge she called home for over 20 years, those old income streams are completely drying up. Her charities have closed down, commercial partners are backing away, and her usual book deals are stalling. She is literally facing financial ruin if she doesn't make a big move fast. Rumors indicate that Sarah has kept detailed personal diaries covering every single year she spent around the royal family. Think about what is inside those pages. Decades of private conversations, the true story behind palace feuds, and the raw, unfiltered truth about how senior royals operate behind closed doors. If she decides to publish those notes, it could easily outsell Prince Harry's book and dominate headlines for months. So, will this revenge strategy actually work? On paper, the money would fix her financial problems overnight. One massive tell-all deal could secure her future and give her total independence from the palace. But there is a massive catch that could ruin everything. If Sarah burns her remaining bridges with King Charles, she risks permanently isolating herself from her daughters. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie are working overtime to keep their official standing and stay on good terms with Prince William and the King. If Sarah drops a massive public bombshell, the public backlash could drag Beatrice and Eugenie down right alongside her. She is essentially playing a high-stakes game of poker with her own family's reputation. If she goes too far, she gets the money, but she loses the very people she fought so hard to protect. And that brings us to the ultimate question. How far is she really willing to push King Charles before someone finally backs down? King Charles is facing what insiders describe as a total nightmare scenario, and it all comes down to one person: Sarah Ferguson. According to sources, Sarah has been quietly pushing for an urgent face-to-face sit-down with King Charles and Queen Camilla. She isn't looking to apologize or beg for forgiveness. She wants to look the king in the eye and demand answers. Her message to the palace is reportedly crystal clear. After 30 years of keeping quiet and taking the fall for royal mistakes, she refuses to be discarded like trash. Think about the position this puts King Charles in. Former royal press secretaries warn that a raw, unfiltered tell-all from Sarah represents absolute doom and gloom for the palace. Royal aides are terrified she could go rogue on live television or in a book, airing dirty laundry that would completely overshadow King Charles's reign. Because unlike active working royals, Sarah is no longer bound by palace rules. She has no royal status left to protect, no public role to lose, and no reason to hold back. Insiders say she feels completely justified in taking a hard line. For years, she watched senior royals cover up their own mistakes while she was constantly left out in the cold. Now that she is being evicted and stripped of her standing, she feels the royal family owes her for her decades of silence. Reports suggest King Charles is caught in a massive trap. If he refuses to meet with her, he risks pushing her straight into the arms of American TV networks offering multi-million-dollar deals. But if he agrees to meet her demands and offers her financial help or housing, it could look like the palace is paying off a former insider to keep her quiet. It is a tense standoff with zero room for error, and the clock is ticking for everyone involved. So, will King Charles give in to protect the monarchy's secrets, or will Sarah finally break her silence and shock the entire world? When you look at the entire picture, Sarah Ferguson's shift from a fiercely loyal royal insider to an unpredictable wildcard wasn't something that happened overnight. It was the natural result of feeling completely neglected, abandoned, and pushed to the absolute fringe by an institution she spent half her life serving. For over 30 years, Sarah lived under a very specific set of rules. She took the blame for public missteps, absorbed endless media backlash, and constantly put the palace's reputation ahead of her own. She believed that as long as she stayed quiet and played the loyal soldier, the royal family would always have her back. Instead, the moment her presence became a public liability, the safety net was completely pulled away. Getting evicted from the Royal Lodge without a backup residence wasn't just a loss of bricks and mortar. It was a clear signal from King Charles that her decades of loyalty no longer mattered. Her title was stripped, her charitable work was dropped, and she was left to navigate total financial uncertainty completely on her own. That deep sense of betrayal is ultimately what shaped the path she is taking today. When a former royal realizes they have been cast aside like trash, the fear of consequences disappears. She isn't just looking for a multi-million-dollar deal for the money. She wants her voice back, her truth heard, and a seat at the table on her own terms. Whether her high-stakes standoff with King Charles results in a quiet compromise or a massive public tell-all, one thing is certain. The royal family pushed a loyal insider into a corner, and now they have to live with the consequences. What do you think? Did King Charles make a huge mistake by discarding Sarah Ferguson, or was the palace right to cut ties? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into royal drama.